Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, All About the Goddess. The Goddess Next Door bears all in the art studio to catch a campus stalker in this action-packed ISIS series mystery. Get your copy of ISIS, All About the Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. One of my viewers wanted to know my thoughts on presidential candidate Jill Stein. Now, I do not like making political videos because the people who drop comments in the comment section, a lot of them act really crazy. So that's one of the reasons why I'm hesitant to make these videos. But the viewer did want me to talk about this subject, so I'm going to go in depth on expressing my thoughts on presidential candidate Jill Stein. Now, presidential candidate Jill Stein is an independent individual who has been running for various offices for years, and she oftentimes every 4 years decides to go out and run for president. And even though she does very poorly, what she does is run for president and is now looking to court black votes by saying that she is in favor of reparations. Now, this looks very nice on the surface for some black people who are registered voters. However, when I listen to this statement, it basically is one that just comes out of desperation to get any sort of votes, because any politician will go out here and say that they are in favor of a position if it will allow them an opportunity to go out here and get votes and build up their percentage points, especially an independent candidate that oftentimes does poorly in every election cycle. So there's where I see where Jill Stein is being extremely disingenuous as a candidate, because she's just saying that she is for reparations because she's for trying to elevate her poll numbers. And again, we have to understand that a candidate saying that they are for a position doesn't really mean anything, especially when you consider the track record of many of the other candidates that have come in the past and the candidates that are currently around right now. Because Kamala Harris came out here with a proposal saying that she had a series of proposals for black men, and all of those proposals were just as disingenuous as I believe Jill Stein's position on reparations is, and again, something that she's saying just to go out here and get black people emotional and try to get people to vote on emotion on one issue, and not go out here and understand that it's not just about one issue. No, it's all about an agenda. That's where a lot of black people get it messed up, because they vote on emotion and not understanding the subtle politics transpiring around them. And because they don't understand the subtle politics transpiring around them, what they do is hear something like Jill Stein supports reparations, and they get in their feelings thinking that this whole quest to get these cash payments to pay foundational black Americans for the centuries of slavery, the racist policies that oppress the black economy in Jim Crow, and the current and ongoing discrimination that keeps black men like myself from being able to compete in the job market. Many black folks get emotional when they hear a candidate is going to support our positions and look to go out here and just think, oh, we can support that candidate, but we never ask the critical question, is that candidate supporting us? That's the critical question many foundational black Americans don't ask themselves before they consider supporting a candidate. And this is how we wind up losing when even these candidates win, because that's what got us jammed up with Joe Biden, who basically had it where he was talking about how he was proposing to help to give things to tangibles to black people, but gave us absolutely nothing. He made proposals like his Lift Every Voice plan. He made proposals like his John Lewis Voting Rights Act and his George Floyd Police Accountability Commission, And none of that stuff ever got off the ground after he got our votes. And many black people wound up deeply disappointed because they supported a candidate based on their feelings, based on what they said they were going to do, but could not hold that person accountable. And the reason why they couldn't hold that candidate accountable is because they voted on their feelings and did not critically think about what are you going to get for your votes, or make sure that you had this backed up before you even voted for the candidate. Now, the late David Carroll tried to explain the political process to black people in many of his classic masterpiece videos when they were on YouTube, and sadly, many black people who are listening to Jill Stein make this proposal don't really hear what the late David Carroll tried to explain to black people regarding the political process. Now, the late David Carroll tried to explain to black folks that when it came to the political process, the candidate isn't supposed to come to us. No, when the candidate comes to us, they basically already have their agenda, and if they have their agenda, we are not supposed to. When we sign on to that agenda, they basically can do whatever they want without any sort of accountability. No, the late David Carroll tried to explain to us when it comes to agenda. The agenda is set by the people, and this is something black people try to avoid dealing with all around. They try to avoid dealing with having to create an agenda by getting emotional about candidates saying that they're for certain positions. No, when it comes to the candidate, again, we're supposed to set the agenda before we go and pick the candidate, and we have to work on that process of working on the agenda and putting the bullet points of the agenda together before we even go to any candidates. Because when you have the agenda put together and you have all agreed on the agenda, what that does is make it where you have the standard set for what you want from your government. And when you have the standard set for what you want for the government and the goals you want met by the government and your tax dollars allocated towards that agenda, that's where you have the standard set. And again, with the standard set, this is where you go and recruit a candidate. Again, you pick the candidate, and when you pick the candidate is accountable to the agenda, and they are accountable to represent the agenda because this is what they agreed to run for you on. Again, they are working for you when you pick the agenda, and they are accountable to you when you pick the agenda. And when you pick the agenda, again, the agenda is represented, and it's the candidate's job to, once you elect them, to make sure that the goals of the agenda are met in 2 to 4 years. It is the job of the candidate to make sure that the money is earmarked and allocated and brought back to the community. It is the job of the candidate to make sure those tax dollars are brought back to you. Moreover, it is the job of the candidate to be accountable to the people who represent the agenda. And this is how the political process works. But many black people, what we have are a lot of folks who basically are not educated in the political process, nor do they understand the subtle politics transpiring around them. And whenever they hear somebody, especially somebody white, is paying attention to them, they get caught up in their emotions when they hear, oh, they're supporting our position, they're supporting our positions. No, it's not enough for you to support our positions. No, it's your job to support a black agenda and be the one we pick to represent our agenda in order to get the black vote. In order to get the black vote, again, this is a business transaction, and with this being a business transaction, it is a contract. It's a contract where this person who we pick to represent us, again, is promising, based on that contract, to deliver tangibles to the community, deliver cash tangibles to the community, and resources to the community. That is the job that we are hiring this person to do. And again, as part of a business transaction, they are accountable for delivering on that agreement. And if they do not deliver on that agreement of giving us the tangibles that we hired them to do, because this is a job, and again, this is their job, is to get us paid. And again, it's supposed to be a business transaction, and if I don't get what I want out of the business transaction, this person will be held accountable, and held accountable to the point where we will fire that individual. That is how the political process works, because this is a business transaction. A business transaction where you, again, make an agreement based on price and consideration that's supposed to be exchanged in that agreement, and it's supposed to be done in a reasonable time. That is the basics of contract law I learned in college, and that's how the political process is supposed to work. And again, if this person does not meet the agreement and bring resources back to the community, intangibles of earmarks and other monies, this person, again, needs to be terminated. But sadly, because many black people vote straight down tickets based on emotion and don't see this as business, this is why things don't get done. And again, when I listen to Jill Stein, again, she's just telling people what they want to hear, because she wants to capitalize on the alienated black voting bloc, but not looking to give us anything tangible in exchange for our vote, because saying that you're in favor of reparations, again, doesn't mean much. No, it doesn't mean much, because that's not saying that you're supporting a black agenda. It's not saying that you support a black agenda, because we need more. We need a person who wants to support a black agenda, because the black agenda isn't just one bullet point. It is a series of bullet points, and you have to say that you are, again, somebody we picked and and insist to represent us, because we want somebody who's going to be accountable to us, accountable to our voting bloc, and not somebody who's going to look to tell us what we want to hear and take us for granted. No, we need to have somebody who is serious about supporting our agenda, because there's a lot more that we need to be done. And we have to get past getting emotional when we hear that somebody says that they're in favor of something, because people will say anything to get elected. But the whole thing is, you don't want somebody to just say anything. You want somebody to get that agreement with the black community as a collective. That's why you need an agenda, because an agenda basically is a consistent block of agreements that are made between the candidate and the community that they are with. I mean, this is the agreement that they're making because they have an agreement, again, as part of the business transaction, and they know that there will be some accountability. That's the other part that messes up the black community, is all this fragmentation, because a lot of black folks, what we do is we start bickering and arguing. We start bickering and arguing because we don't understand process as related to business. And because we don't understand process as related to business, what we have are individuals who just hear, oh, somebody says they're supporting us, but the whole thing is, do you have an agreement with that individual that ensures that this person is going to make you a priority? Because when the candidate is coming to you with a point, that really means nothing, and shows how many black people haven't really learned. Because with Joe Biden, again, he had points saying he was for certain things, like that whole George Floyd Police Accountability Commission that never happened, or the Lift Every Voice plan that basically disappeared. No, when you have an agenda and you pick the candidate, this is where you have accountability. And again, you don't want to just be just going along with candidates and what they say. No, what you want to do is be able to have your agenda, and have your agenda representing you, and have the candidates you pick representing that agenda. That's how you ensure things get done. as a collective for you. That's how you ensure things get taken care of for you. And black people, we really have to stop thinking about looking to go out here and just support candidates based on what they say or based on what they propose. No, it's supposed to be about our agenda. And if you're not about the black agenda and not about supporting the goals of the black agenda, then this is a candidate that you don't put a vote towards. Now, this was a video requested by a viewer, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation for a minimum of $15 to the Cash App or the PayPal by clicking the links in the description box, and if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, A Stein Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Stein series adventure. Get your copy of A Stein Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Bride of Dracula. Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the dark vampire in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.